Okay folks, in this episode we're going to do a simple walkthrough of making a small part. We're going to call it a miniaturized I-beam, something like this. Nothing special, but we're going to use a couple tools to kind of make it efficient for us and also practice the use of our dimensions. So this object's not going to be that big. We'll probably set it to maybe 30 millimeters tall. And we are going to use millimeters in this course simply because the application works really well that way. We won't use inches, but it doesn't matter which one you use using the technology. You can actually make it interchangeable if you want, but we have found that the millimeter side of things does have a tendency to be a little bit quicker and easier for everyone to operate with. So, and also if you just want to know, just for reference, there's about 25.4 millimeters in every inch. So if it helps you get a feel for the size, you can assume that 1 inch is about 25 millimeters for sense. Alright, so here we go. I'm going to start off my process by going to create a new sketch, and I'm going to choose this work plane right here. I click it and it orients it to it. Next, I'm going to start off by just designing a line that goes up. So like I didn't do that well. Let me try that again. I must have clicked it extra time there. Click a line, draw it up, and I'm going to type in 30 and hit enter. So that gives me the 30 height of my design. But here's what I'm going to do to save myself some time. I'm only going to design half of this I-beam shape. And I will use a tool to create the other half very quickly and easily. But it does save me time when I only have to design half. And so let's say that our W-beam, or our I-beam, is going to be, we'll say 6 units across all the way. So that means that this side is only going to be 3. So I'll go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to come across this way, and you can actually just draw the shape and then come back and add dimensions, or you can just type in the dimensions as you go. So there's 3. Come down here, draw across to 3. Zoom in, and you'll notice a lot of times when I'm working I do a lot of zooming in close. I use the roller tool on my mouse to make that happen. You can also use the view tools down here. For example, there's a zoom window and there's a real-time zoom. If you click it, you can just drag and it zooms a little bit faster, and you can hit escape to cancel out of that. Another thing I'm going to do while I'm working is I like to pull the dimensions out away from the object. So I pull that one down. Let's just say I'm going to draw this up 3. And we'll come over, let's say, actually I'll just pull this one out so we can see it again. And we'll come over this way, we'll say 1. And then maybe I'll come up to the top here and draw this down 3. Enter. I'll hit escape. Pull this out so I can see what I'm doing. Hit the line tool again, come over 1, enter, and I can pull this out or up or down, doesn't really matter. And then I will draw a line that should connect these two together. Looks like I'm off a little bit, and this is something you want to watch out for. See how this one was from here to here? I must have clicked it a few too many times, so I'm just going to delete that back out by clicking on it and hitting delete. And I click and come over 1, enter, and now I can click and drag this one down. So my object is now 30 tall, and my top part is 3 wide, 3 wide at the bottom, 3 up from the bottom, and 1 over. So basically it means my wall thickness is going to be 2 on this side, 2 on the other side, which is 4. That's probably a little bit bigger than it needs to be. So I'm actually double click that one and say 1.5. Maybe 1.5 here. Alright, this is a good example. See how it's giving me this error? It says that something is controlling this, so I'm going to delete that first and zoom in close and click on it, delete that. And then I'll just hit my dimension tool and click on this point, and I'll set it to 1.5. There, it shifted on over. So that works. Now another thing that you'll notice is if I click on this edge and this edge, I pull it out, it says I'm going to over constrain the sketch, and it can create a driven dimension. What that means is, it shows you the 1.5 in parentheses. You can't change this now, it's just showing you what it is. And so if I make changes down below, maybe if I change it to 1.75, it will automatically update itself to match, or to compensate. We'll go back to 1.5. So I can play with these dimensions as I need to over time. Another neat trick, instead of me having to type in 3 up, top, and bottom, I can double click this one and then click on this one so that it sets it to match it. See how it says D4 there? And so whatever this one gets changed, let's say it's 2.75, the top one gets changed too. Set to 5. Makes it a little bit more faster for me to create. Alright. So I've got my design, and as mentioned, I only have half of it. So what I'm going to do is use a quick trick to create the other half, and let's see what happens. I'm going to use this tool called Mirror. You could also find it in the Create Mirror option. Hit Mirror, and it says Select Objects. So I'm going to select that, and that, 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 and that. And then I'm going to select the mirror line, which is this one, which is not letting me do. Because at this point in time, it's an object I've selected, therefore it can't be a mirror line. So it's not going to work. So what's my solution? Well, what I can do is go draw another line that can represent the mirror line, and I will come over here, making sure this palette is clicked out. If you don't see the palette, click this little double arrow to expand it out, and I'm going to switch it to a construction line. And what it basically means is when I draw a line now, it's going to have that dashed yellow color to it, and there's nothing really special about it except for the fact that the software won't recognize it as a line, meaning that it won't extrude this even though it's closed. Alright, so let me show you the trick. I hit my line there, set it to construction line, and I'm going to just click on this point right here, go straight down, doesn't matter what size, and hit escape. And then I will deactivate construction line so that anything I draw from this point in time on will be a normal solid line. So when I draw a line now, it's back to normal blue. Anyway, there's the line. So let's try this mirror tool again. Click on it, click select, and I want that line, that line, that line, that line. I think I missed that one. There we go. That one. Should be 8 lines all together. Looks like I got 9. It's probably okay because I may have clicked one twice. It's alright. Hit select for the mirror line. Choose this one. And then you see this line forming. And boom. Both sides are now shaded in. And they are mirror images of each other. Check this out. When I double click on this and change it to 3.5, everything changes, which is nice. So that's pretty handy. But this is just the sketch. We need to turn it into a 3D model by hitting Finish Sketch and hitting Extrude and selecting this zone and selecting this zone. And let's say that I'm going to make this 60 units in length. Boom. There we go. There's my design. Just what I wanted, right? So, why don't we do this? Why don't you pause the video and recreate what I've done. Go ahead and make sure that you use the mirror tool as well, as it's extremely handy for this kind of work. Pause the video and do that now, please. Alright, now I'm going to show you another approach to do sort of the same thing. I'm going to hit Create New Sketch. I'm going to select the same plane that I did initially. And I'm going to essentially draw the same thing that I just did. I'll just do it a little bit faster. So 3 over, just thinking about it. Move this out, 3 up, 1.5 across. Again, the dimensions can get in your way if you're not careful, so always grab them and pull them out. 3 over. 3 down, 1.5 across. And see what it did there? Sometimes it does that. It skips a step. Don't really understand why it does that sometimes, but just watch for it. Try again, 1.5. A lot of times I see that happen when I just go a little too fast. And close it up. Now this time, it's the same shape, and I'm going to finish sketch, and I'm not going to do the mirror until after I make the model. Hit the extrude tool, I'll set it to 60 again. This time we're going to try to do a mirror with the model itself, not the sketch. And you'll notice if you go into Create, hit this pull down, there's another version of the mirror that will allow you to select objects. Now it's set to faces, so I'll come over here and change this from faces to features. And then I select this object, all turns blue, and then I select a mirror plane. Well, the mirror plane will be this surface. Let's see if it works. Looks like it did, and hit OK, and there we go. Now you see this theoretical little edge that occurs to it. It's not, wouldn't actually be this in the 3D model. It'll show up. It wouldn't be there in reality if we were to fabricate this part, but it is at least a concept that there is a joint point between the two. So there's the object, and I used two different variants of the mirror. One was a mirror in the sketch, and one was a mirror of the body itself after it was done. So pretty nifty. They should be the same length in terms and location because of the fact that I actually drew them off the plane. I'm going to go hide this one by clicking on it and clicking on that one and getting rid of it from, it's not deleted, it's just hidden by clicking on the little eyeballs there. So actually, before I do that though, why don't you go ahead and do the same thing I've done. Go ahead and create a new sketch, create a new half body, and then use the mirror tool from the create menu after you have extruded it to create a copy. Pause the video and do that now, please. Alright, now I'm going to go back in here, expand this down, and turn that off and turn that off. Another feature we want to do, let's say we want to add a hole to this one. So I'm going to hit my create sketch, click in here on this plane, and I'm going to add a circle. And in fact, I'm actually going to add a slotted hole. So I'm going to draw a circle here, and I'm going to draw a circle here. And what I'm going to do is use my dimension tool to dimension from this corner to that first hole. And we'll say it's going to be maybe 20. And I'm going to dimension from this point this way, and we're going to say it's going to be 12. Now the next thing would be to line this up, which I can do this by grabbing it and dragging it over the center point and then to the right, so it lines it up. And then I add a dimension that says it's going to be from here to here, maybe, and we'll say it's going to be 12. But this is just two holes. It's not a slotted hole until I turn around and draw a line from, and you see me sometimes I'm hitting just L key on my keyboard to activate the line command. I'm going to click on here and draw across, and it's going to understand that I'm wanting to make it tangent from one to the next. Looks like the hole sizes are slightly different. So I'm going to hit my dimension tool and select this one and set it to 7. And I'm going to click on this one and set it to, click that and set to equal. And there we go. Now our lines look straight. So it's a slotted hole of two holes, diameter 7, 20 from the corner and 12 up. I hit finish sketch. And when I do my extrude, I can click on this zone, and this zone. I'm going to hold down my control key, my shift key on my keyboard and push down my roller, which allows me to see it that way, and I'm going to grab my arrow and drag it through the object. It becomes a cut. I make sure it says cut, and I hit OK. And now we have a slotted hole in our object. Pretty quick and easy, huh? Alright, I want you to pause the video and recreate what I've done now. Alright, one other little feature is that we're going to go and add in some fillets. And we're going to do it by clicking on the fillet tool here, and then clicking on this edge, this edge, this edge, that one over there, that one down there, 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 and there. Set the value to perhaps 1 millimeter and hit OK. So now our design is a little bit smoother in creation, a little bit more CNC friendly, and we're even going to make it even more interesting by turning around and using the fillet tool to click on this ring and this ring, set it to 1 as well, and it rounds the hole off. And you look at that and it looks pretty good, so go ahead and pause the video and make those same fillets as I have. Pause the video and do that now, please. Alright. Now we're going to do one more feature. We're at another hole, but we're going to do it with a chamfer this time. So first thing I'm going to do is click my sketch tool, click on this surface, draw my circle, and I'll set it to be about 8 in diameter. I like to pull that out. It doesn't really matter where it's located at this moment. We'll just put it right there, so to speak. And I'll extrude it, click on it there, drag it through the object, and hit enter. Now, what we're going to do is add a chamfer so that if someone were adding a pin from this direction, it would slide into the hole very easily. So if we're adding a pin this way, we want it to be chamfered around the edge so it guides it in. To do that, we're going to hit modify here, find the chamfer tool, and click on the edge, and then set it to 1. And like a fillet, it works around the entire perimeter, but this time it sort of notches it out. Hit OK. And you can see it's kind of angled in that way. This is a great way to guide hole. We do this all the time also for counter sinking objects, so they can sit down into the surface or be guided into a hole or that kind of thing. So very, very common thing to use a chamfer to smooth features out or to notch off little edges. Alright, pause the video and recreate what I've done, please. Okay. That's enough for this one, and make sure you save the file, make him in handy later on for assignments or quizzes or that type of thing. We'll see you on the next one.